Speaking of Tom Emmer, he was on at Issue last weekend, on Channel 5, 10 a.m. on Sundays. Remember, folks, you don't have to watch the Sunday shows because I do it for you. And he had an interesting exchange with Tom Hauser, the host. Hauser, this inside baseball guy, asked the typical things you'd expect. But I'll tell you, Emmer's answers are right on the money. You'll never hear a DFLer even think the way Tom Emmer does. First, Hauser asks Emmer here in this first clip about the contrast between he and a DFL candidate, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Emmer gives a terrific answer. Watch this.
But with the DFL candidates staking out a position on the left, especially on the issue of taxes, and you being pretty well to the right on this issue, what happens?
Well, actually, Tom, I mean, you can characterize it that way, but you should come with me and travel the state of Minnesota. We're mainstream Minnesota. There's no question that the campaign we have run is a campaign that addresses people in mainstream Minnesota, on Main Street, Minnesota. We're talking about redesigning government and making it accountable to people again. There are people out in the street right now that don't believe that government is listening to them, is hearing them, and that's what we've been talking about. Redesigning government to meet the actual priorities, and then creating a business environment in this state, lower taxes, eliminate all the excessive and unnecessary licensing, permitting, and regulation, get Minnesota moving again, put us back on a road to prosperity. I'm going to tell you, that is a message that goes right down the heart of the plate in Minnesota. Whatever the other side does, their message has consistently been government is the answer, and we know just by looking across this country, not to mention right in this state, government is not the answer.
You know, folks, that is right on the money. That's so on the money right now. Mainstream people, that is conservatism. 40% of people in the United States consider themselves conservative. 18% consider themselves liberal. And the other ones are in the middle or don't know. So conservatism is mainstream. It's the left that's out of the mainstream. It's the left that are the wackos and the kooks. And I'll tell you, even Democrats I know are concerned about the unsustainable money, government's unsustainability. There's too much spending, there's too much government, it's too big, it's too powerful. That is a mainstream concern. It is not some far right, nut jobs who think that. I mean, these issues, and I've said this before, the issues of what role government plays, how much spending we have. We have things like Social Security and Medicare that have $22 trillion of unfunded liability. Now, let me explain that. It means that we owe American citizens $22 trillion, and we have no idea where the money's going to come from. Now, that issue's not going away. Same thing at the state level. Look at the St. Paul School District. They have $400 million in unfunded liability. They owe to retired people. They have no way to pay for it. Those issues aren't going away. We are the mainstream. The right, us conservative libertarians, we are the mainstream. It is not out of the mainstream to question government. Should government just go on and on, just indefinitely, forever? All right, way off the subject here. The DFL put out a little memo, a little talking points, I don't know what you want to call it, public statement on Emmer's nomination, saying it would be a third term of Governor Pawlenty. Well, Tom Hauser asks for Emmer's comment on this, and he gets another home run. Roll the tape.
Now, within minutes after your endorsement on Friday night, the DFL party sent out a news release saying if you were to win, you would essentially be a third term of Governor Pawlenty. Now, you have not signed a no new taxes pledge per se from the Taxpayers League, but you certainly are not a fan of new taxes. Where would you stand if you're facing a $5 or $6 billion budget shortfall next year? Would you be adamantly opposed to any tax increase?
I think you're addressing it in the wrong way. You do not need more revenue in government. You have got to start eliminating the excess and the duplication that we already have in government. We have too much government in this state, and it is starving. It's suffocating the private economy. It's time to redesign a smaller government, create a business environment that attracts investment and opportunity the way Minnesota once did, allows our existing businesses to grow and flourish and start to attract new investment. That's the answer. And by the way, that's what drives wealth. That's what creates wealth which ultimately is what drives what you expect out of government. It's not so much about taxes, it's about putting government back in proportion to the private economy so that we can start to run again.
Yes! It's the spending, not the taxes. Government is not underfunded, DFLers. They don't have too little. You're not underpaying your taxes. Or go get that evil rich guy. Yeah, that guy who's screwing you, right? Yeah, go get that person. The problem is there is too much spending. Government has its claws, its toes, it's in every nook and cranny of our lives, and that is the ultimate problem here. We don't need, we were told when the 35W bridge collapsed that we had to raise taxes. That was our bridges and our roads are crumbling, yet somehow we still have the money for light rail. Why do we have the money for light rail if our bridges and our roads are falling apart? This is what happens when you just give government more. They have no incentive to change their behavior. And when you send back idiots like Ann Rest and Sandy Peterson and Lyndon Baines Carlson, that's what you're going to get. That's all you're going to get is more of the same. Now they have, Hauser and Emmer have this exchange here about how hard it is to change government. And folks, it is hard. These government programs and these employee unions are so entrenched, it is difficult. But again, Emmer really gives a good answer to this. Watch this.
Change at the state capitol comes at a glacial pace. Your running mate, Annette Meeks, has even written about redesigning government, going all the way back to the late 90s. Very little has happened to achieve that. There have been bill after bill after bill, study after study after study, and all these budget deficits, and not a lot has changed in terms of reform and tax reform in particular. What makes you think you will be able to achieve that?
Well, I agree, and I guess I've been told since I've gotten into this that it's all about timing, and the time is right for those ideas. People are hungry for those ideas. I travel around the state of Minnesota, and people are asking, what do we need to do? It's not so much that they have to agree with everything we say, but they want to know what it is you stand for, what it is you believe, what do you propose to do as a positive vision for the state of Minnesota. It's about timing, and the timing is now to make these changes. And I tell you, you're going to see a very interesting campaign in the upcoming months because we're talking to all of Minnesota. We're not just talking to part of Minnesota.
Well, there's no question it's about timing, and the time is now because the country is not happy. They're upset. They're not happy with the federal government. They're not happy with the state government. They're not happy with their cities, their schools, nobody. It is timing. It is. The time will be this year and early next year to hit up on this stuff. Now, one last quick little clip with Emmer and Hauser talking about who, if it matters, who the DFL candidate really is. Roll the tape.
Final thing, of the three DFL candidates, anyone you'd rather face more than the other, or do you not think there's much of a difference between them?
No, I don't think there is. They're all nice people, but their message is all the same. Their message is about we need more government. Tom, that's a recipe that has not worked to date, and it's a recipe for future problems. We need less government. We need more opportunity. We need to give people the opportunity, once again, to start to improve their quality of life. That will take care of the problems that you got with government.
Boy, isn't that true? Does it really matter who the Democratic candidate is? I mean, who cares who it is? They all are all the same. But, what amazes me, a guy like Mark Dayton, these rich elitist liberals are what amaze me the most. How does a man who's earned millions of dollars, or if he earned it or not, how does that person come to the conclusion that the best thing the state government can do is raise taxes and spend more? How do you come to that conclusion if you're Mark Dayton?